This is The Heat Source, the podcast where we learn everything we can about hot sauce, one bottle at a time. We are your hosts, Mike and Matt, and today we're trying Tennesse Hot Sauce Company. Let's heat up. Welcome back to The Heat Source, where we learn about new sauces weekly, one bottle at a time. This is our first episode in the new year.
It is.
Happy 2023.
Starting it off sick again for the third time in a month. 2023
hasn't started out great. Both, everyone's sick. Every person I've talked to on the phone in the last week, they've said, yeah, my house is sick. Not they're sick, their house is sick. So between that and all the different things in the news with that Buffalo player, which thankfully he's awake now, and Jeremy Renner getting...
Yeah, hit by a plow truck, didn't he?
I thought he was driving the plow.
Is that what it was?
I don't know. I had, at that point, I had enough bad news for the week.
You're like, I just Tuesday. Can't take it anymore, yeah.
Yeah. It was Monday night, so, I saw a post that he did respond. He said, thank you for the prayers. He's working. He's at least conscious and all that. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So,
but the good news is you don't want to start the year too strong, because then you have 364 days of trying to catch up.
Well, I know.
So you come out of the gate pretty steady.
I was talking to someone about at the end of 2022 or the end of 2021 into 2022, and the last day of 2021 was when Betty White died. So it's like...
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was
because I knew it was right
Mexico.
on that edge. It was right on that edge. So right around the New Year is a rough time.
Yeah.
Just,
It's like classic time for me to get sick too. I got food poisoning from milk 1 year. 3 years ago, food poisoning from milk. Last year, drank the water in Mexico. Got sick from that. I don't think I told you, I ate a bad Dungeness crab New Year's Eve.
Okay. This New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Bought some Dungeness crab from a Hy-Vee in Iowa. And the first one was fine. Second one, I got halfway through the crab and I exhaled out. And it was just ammonia fumes pouring out of my nostrils.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm like, all right, I got to go take care of this.
Didn't you, when you got sick in Mexico, didn't you fight through to eat crab?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's full circle. Cool.
Yeah, right.
I remember that story where I'm like, wait a minute. No, I thought the crab was what you fought through the illness to eat.
Yeah.
But it's, man.
Courtney, get my white dress pants on. We're going to get crab.
Normally with... now it's your official outfit for crab. Normally, when someone's about to have a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, kids are little germ sponges, they're going to be sick and then you get sick and all that. They might help.
Yeah.
I don't know. There might be no change. It's like when my parents were asking if I was sick, they're like, well, are you fatigued? Are you exhausted and listless and all that? I'm just like, yeah. But that's been 8-9 years now.
Right.
So, but no, so this is our first episode of the new year. We had one that we aired on January 4th, which was a recording that we had done last year. But in the new year, we decided we wanted to try new brands of hot sauce that we haven't tried. We still have a lot of sauce makers that we were introduced to, that we have some extra sauces. But to start the new year, we wanted to get some of these new brands on the table. And this one is one that we won in the raffle, the charity raffle that Stanky Sauce was running for Hurricane Relief. This was one of the many sauces that we received, and this is Tennesse Hot Sauce Company out of Nashville, Tennessee. So they sent us a 4-pack. We chose the little bit more mystery sauce of the Mushroom Reaper. It's not their normal rotation. It's one of their seasonal or specialty sauces that they have. So it doesn't actually have the ingredients on here, which is has me a little anxious because I like to read it, and then we talked about I like to read and then try to look for those flavors as we're tasting it.
Yeah. This
one could be a totally different thing where it's like me at a wine tasting. I'll be like, oh, I taste the cherry. They're like, there's no cherries in this.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, I taste the sugar, and they're like, no sugar. It's right. I taste wine.
It's
there wine
it's a red, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this Mushroom Reaper, we're really going to probably taste Mushroom and Reaper. I have very good confidence in that.
Yeah.
But it has a nice...
We just had a moment.
Yeah,
we both went for the bottle at the same time.
Both anxious about it, about trying it, but both reached for the bottle. It has kind of a nice brown... What would you say the color is? It's got a nice kind of
brownish red
consistency. Yeah. But I'm
excited about it.
So this probably should have been a good question before we decided this one. What is your opinion on mushrooms as far as eating? Is there any mushroom you don't eat? Is there any style of mushroom you don't eat? Or are you pretty open?
The canned, gray, slimy mushrooms, I'll eat them, but not a fan.
Those are a tough one.
Yeah, I think that's what sets everyone off as far as I don't like mushrooms, because there's no in between of mushrooms. You either like them or you don't. But I was fortunate. I grew up in like a semi-foraging family. Mm-hmm. So we always had wild mushrooms. We had honey mushrooms, morels, shaggy manes, puffballs. So I always grew up with wild mushrooms that, hands down, I've never had a store-bought mushroom that tastes like a wild mushroom.
I've never had a morel. I've never had any of the wild mushrooms. Yeah. I know.
Don't you have friends that hang out outdoors quite a bit?
Yes. But also they hang out outdoors, so I don't see them because I am indoors and usually cities away. But I like mushrooms. Angela's not a fan of mushrooms. She just calls it the fungus, which it is, but it's also delicious.
It's actually the fruiting body of the fungus, so
I'll let her know.
Tell her to get a new excuse.
That changes everything. You know what? Next week I'll be like, she loves it now. That was her issue. So I don't do a lot of mushroom in my cooking, but I will sometimes make it on the side. But it's always store-bought. We went to the farmer's market and they have this one spot that they just have a bunch of wild mushrooms that they forage or grow or whatever. They have ones that's this is more similar to if you want something meatier for a chicken substitute, or if you want whatever it might be. And I've thought about getting those, but it's also, hey, I brought food back and I spent $30 of it on mushrooms that you don't eat.
They're expensive.
Yeah, they are very expensive because you see it by the ounce and then I'm like, oh, it's not bad. And I'm like, wait, how much is an ounce?
Yeah.
So it's almost
it's ridiculous. Morels, you'll pay I think it's $80 a pound for fresh morels. A couple good sized morels, that doesn't get you a whole lot.
Yeah.
But they're really rich, and it's not like you sit there and you eat a couple pounds anyways. That would just make you throw up.
So the thing I don't like about mushrooms is if you get a pizza, I prefer they put the not dried mushrooms, but the non-canned mushrooms on, where then it kind of gets a little dry on the pizza. That's what I prefer, because when they have the canned ones they throw on, not really for me. But I like mushrooms in general. I still would eat the pizza. It's just not going to be my go-to compared to the ones where they let it dry a little bit because it's a fresh mushroom.
Yeah.
I also like I don't know, it's at every grocery store. You get the little thing of mushrooms where it's marinated mushrooms that are little...
Oh, yeah. The Italian mushrooms.
Yeah, the little Italian mushrooms. I love those.
Yep.
Even though those are slimy, but only because they're covered in oil from an Italian dressing or a spicy...
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a spicy mash or something to throw in there. So
yep.
I do enjoy that as well. So we're going to try this Mushroom Reaper. Before I do that, I did want to bring up two things. One was we tried a couple non-hot sauce things off the podcast that I wanted to bring up. One, here's a yin and yang, positive, negative. I posted on the Instagram, but I tried the Cinefuego Toast Crunch that was advertised. That was a cinnamon toast crunch snack that was labeled as the spicy snack.
Yeah.
I disliked it thoroughly. I'm not a huge... So here's the funny thing. I'm not a huge cinnamon fan. Over-the-top cinnamon, hot tamales, no thank you. Mm-hmm. The jelly beans, if I grab a red and it's a cinnamon and not a cherry, I'm furious. It just did not... It wasn't enjoyable for me. Now, if someone really likes that hot tamale, that cinnamon, probably be perfect for them.
Mm-hmm.
Did not like it.
Yeah.
Conversely, I ordered the spicy toothpaste that I've seen Sam Sauce talk about it. I've seen, I think, Hot Sauce Guide and or Fat Guy Certified have talked about it.
You got me that for Christmas.
So, yeah, I bought a 2-pack. I've been using it exclusively.
Yeah.
Because it's you know how Altoids advertises as a curiously strong mint?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of hits you, at least when I was a kid, it hit me immediately. And then it was oh, wow, that's just really strong mint flavor. That's what it's doing in a toothpaste form.
Yeah.
Which I'd be worried, but also curious if You know how like after you have brush your teeth, if you were to sip like orange juice, it just like
Just burns.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be curious if this would just disintegrate my teeth because it's so much more intense. But
Just make them jump right out of your mouth. Yeah.
no, it's fantastic because I use a CPAP machine, so I get a lot of dry mouth and different things where then I have this nasty, in the morning I just have terrible breath. This is a great thing for the podcast. Air this out. But this with the toothpaste, it's so strong that it helps.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem as bad in the morning.
Yeah.
But no,
No, the first time I used it, I told you that. Like, you feel fresher longer than
Yeah.
normal toothpaste.
so it is one where I'm like, that might have to be a rotation. I do have it in a drawer though, because I don't, even though it's not like hot, it's not like I ate a pepper. I also don't want my kids just to be like,
Right.
because it's a cool looking container too.
Yeah.
It does say it has capsaicin, some type of capsaicin in the ingredient list, but
Mhm.
all you're getting is just like intense peppermint.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's hot, but it's like the minty hot.
Yeah.
It just feels like excessive mint, but it's really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was like the thought of taking capsaicin and just scraping it into your gums, essentially.
Yeah.
I was a little hesitant at first. Like, is this just going to burn everywhere? But it's like a cooling.
So I'm terrible at going to the dentist regularly, and so I'm always worried like, man, it's gonna be bad. And then this is like, well, maybe they'll be like, wow, something's been improving lately. Like, what is it? I'll be like, been using spicy toothpaste. But no, I just found that funny. I mean, it was the thing I sent a picture to a bunch of people on Snapchat, and they're like, why do we need that? Like, what's the purpose? And I'm like, why not? And they're like, oh, okay.
Right.
Like, fair. And it's the thing that I'm like, you guys might laugh at it, but it's just really good. So, yeah, I'll have to, next time I brush my teeth, I'll have to post a picture of it. But the other thing I wanted to see, you, during our little break here, you were in Iowa. You did went pheasant hunting?
I did.
Okay. Have you done that before, or was that?
I normally do it every year. That's my first time with a dog.
Oh,
normally
yeah.
I go out on foot, and they like to run, and they're sneaky.
Okay.
And so it's usually pretty unfruitful, usually doing like 20 miles a day with not many birds in hand.
Sure.
And then doing it with a dog was like, oh, this is much more efficient.
Like, that's why they do it.
Yeah. So, but
That's good.
yeah, it was fun. And I made that pheasant I shot,
Mhm.
made that with a mushroom cream sauce.
Well, maybe this will be the thing to put on the next pheasant.
Yeah.
Well, and it was funny because you called me, and I was saying, oh, yeah, I saw, like, looks good. You got the vest, and the dog's got the vest, and you're like, how'd you see that? I was like, yeah, Courtney posted. And it was it reminded me of, there's those hand-drawn nature settings where it's like a hunter, and it shows like a field and all that, and I'm just like, looks like a traditional, like,
Yeah.
Norman Rockwell.
It's like the
kinda.
Miller Lite tin signs
Yeah,
that you see at a bar.
exactly.
Yeah.
I like how I went Norman Rockwell, and you went just like bar tin signs, and like both. Anyway, so we're going to get into this. We're going to open up this bottle. We're going to try this sauce. We're going to talk about this Tennessee hot sauce company, which on the bottle, very funny. I don't know. It says the official, unofficial hot sauce of Tennessee.
Humorously written.
That's the right way to say it.
Funnily.
Funnily is either something that is funny or something that is able to be put into a funnel. That's kind of a funnily sauce.
I was going
to
to say this cake is kind of funnily, you know?
Yeah. A funnily cake. A funnily shaped hat.
6 a.m.
Yeah, 6 a.m. Yeah. Trying to find the perforation if there is one on this. All right, so this is going to be first of the year with no perforation. Let's see. All right, let's open this up.
That little squeak. It's kind of like when you rub two pickles together. You get a little
Initially, I
squeak.
was going to say what a weird comment, but I understand completely.
Yeah.
That is bizarre that I knew that well. All right, so let's get into this Tennessee hot sauce, the Mushroom Reaper. I'm going to have you smell it first since I don't want to sneeze into it.
Ooh. It smells hot.
Yeah.
Smells good.
So
Smells like a classic hot sauce.
So they talk about all natural ingredients, and just to kind of go off of some of the other ones they have, none of their other bottles have a heavy ingredient list. Like, for example, I have their garlic habanero sauce right here. Vinegar, water, carrot, habanero pepper, garlic, lime, cumin, salt. Simple. The other one, pineapple habanero one, was the same.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's very minimal. And if there's water in it, that also helps the spread of the heat. You know, it's not going to... Well, that came right through. Even my nose is stuffed. Yeah, it's going to be hot. I like the smell, though.
Yeah, it smells good.
All right, so let's give this a try, and then we'll get into the brand itself. Let's see how the pour is. Pretty good consistency. Not, like, super thin. Holds a little bit of shape on the spoon.
Okay.
All right, let's give this a try.
Ooh.
Very hot.
That's like there.
Of course, I didn't bring waters down here.
Oh, that's what we're missing.
Yeah.
Man, that's hot. That's surprisingly hot.
I
know it says Reaper on it, but...
Yeah, but it also depends on what other ingredients. The use of water does typically amplify. And also, yeah, the amount of Reaper that's used. I know there were some sauces. Scott from Lucky Dog said the Hellhound that we tried.
Mm-hmm.
He said if you're eating it on a meal, it gets progressively hotter.
Yeah.
He's like, you probably had a quarter of the heat that you potentially could have.
For the
Hellhound.
Yeah.
But we also had more than one spoonful.
Yeah. I put that on nachos the other day, and it was pretty...
Yeah.
It didn't get any less hot.
But no, it...
This one's good. It's... So one of the only things I found on... I think it was on their Twitter, said it's salty, it's meaty, and it's hot.
Yep.
Pretty much what it is.
That's what it is. And I mean, the mushrooms give it a little bit more of an umami flavor to it than you normally would.
Yeah.
It's funny that my nose is causing me to sound more reactive than I actually am.
You've gone through an evolution in the last 10 minutes I've been with you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. So.
That is toasty.
Yeah, high heat. I mean, it is
like immediately.
Now. Upfront heat. It's simmering down now, so it only took a couple minutes. The heat is powerful, so it's hard not to focus on that. Kind of like with the one drop that we did last year. It's like, unless you're focusing on the other flavors, that heat's all you're gonna feel.
I'd like to know what kind of mushrooms they put in there.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. Yeah, because they didn't list them in there. But yeah, I mean, super strong sauce. It does the color and consistency. It's darker than what I would think. But when I heard mushroom sauce, I always go to like stroganoff, like a mushroom stroganoff.
Yeah,
and it's something where this could add saltiness and could have some more body to that sauce and really kind of spice that up. Where I don't get a strong mushroom flavor, but it is something that kind of probably helps with the thickness or the texture of the sauce.
Yeah, I think I do get the meatiness from it. Like,
definitely salty.
Yeah,
it has that high heat. I don't know if I get mushroom specifically, or if I just get like that umami flavor you get from mushroom. I know that there's one that's specifically labeled, not by Tennessee Hot Sauce Company, by another one that's called like Umami Bomb. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that one I would expect heavy. This is more a subtlety in the flavor. I really like it. It is very, very hot. The second spoonful was definitely a different... I could focus more on the flavors I was getting. But it is a saltier sauce.
Mm-hmm. God, it is hot, though. I just put 2 little drops on there, and that's pretty...
You got like chunks. That last one I had was very thin.
Yeah.
And that was more flavor than heat.
Mm-hmm.
But while we're letting these first 2 spoonfuls kind of assemble like a news team. Like a news team, they're assembling in our empty stomachs before breakfast. Again, terrible idea to do this before the morning. Like, I haven't even had coffee yet.
Yeah.
But just a few things about the Tennessee Hot Sauce Company. It was founded by Danny Hudson. The interesting thing here, we talk about a lot of sauce companies that started because of COVID. And this one did, but not in the way that you think. Because it's technically officially started in 2022, January 2022.
I did see that, yeah.
is when they posted a few things in the end of the previous year of them doing test kitchen stuff, of them cooking, but their website went live in January of 2022. But he talked about in one of these, he had a couple interviews he did on podcasts that were about small business and about side business and secondary income and things like that, which was very interesting. I feel like you would find that, you enjoy hot sauce, but you would also find that part fascinating of how the business side of it works. Because you've asked a few questions before of like, how successful are some of these sauce companies when they're making everything in-house or in-home versus the sauce companies that have a full commercial kitchen or a co-packer or whatever.
Right.
So they do get into some interesting information on those podcasts, but he talked on one of them, I think it was the Jason Stapleton podcast, and he was saying how...
Is that Chris's little brother?
The country singer?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. His little brother's like, I got to do something, like finance. But he talked about, because Danny Hudson's background is in the financial industry, and so he was working at a company where it was the first few months of COVID of 2020, and his boss was like, hey, can you jump on a call? He's like, oh, okay. He's like, it's weird that he just is not just talking to me, tell me jump on a call. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to bring this other guy on too, and it was his boss's boss. He's like, well, I've been through enough. He's like, I've been in the industry for enough years to know this isn't great.
Yeah.
But they luckily were like, first thing, relax. It's not bad. Mm-hmm. But they were doing restructuring. They were changing his role. But it did give him enough of kind of a scare of just that anxiousness you get from that moment.
Yeah.
To go, we're a single income household where, if something did happen, what's the backup plan? So he initially was focusing on financial consulting because, he works in finance. He can do a consulting company. Mm-hmm. But before he committed fully to that, he did start researching some other things, and he had heard from another podcast about how subscription services are a big thing, especially for like a passive, like a not passive income, but like a side hustle. And so he wanted to so he basically went through this path where he came to hot sauce subscriptions. Mm-hmm. And also he figured instead of doing, we don't do hot sauce for our regular job. It'd be weird if like we were doing our regular job and then doing a podcast about our regular job that's just doubling down on the same topic.
Yeah.
This was a way where he could have a creative outlet versus doing more of the same. I think of Ben Wyatt from Parks and Rec, where he's an accountant through and through. He goes to an accounting company to be the accountant, which seems perfect, but then he's like, I got to do something else.
Yeah.
It's like almost too perfect. So he actually started with a partner who was making their own sauce, and he's like, well, I have the business side. You've got the sauce experience. They were going to combine those experiences together, but his partner eventually did back out because he had a little one. They had another one on the way. It just didn't work to be committing that much time. Mm-hmm. But they had already been working on recipes. They've already been like in the process. And so his wife basically was like, well, do you still want to do this? And when he was like, yeah, they continued on, and now it's, a family business, of these all natural small batch hot sauces. Yeah, so
that's really neat.
It is interesting where it wasn't COVID necessarily, but it was work adapting to COVID that scared him into conversation, which I 100%, like we have
I totally understand.
Like we literally do a podcast together, and if you're like, hey, can you come to my office? And then told me to shut the door, I'd be like, well, this is it. I'm like, all right, it's a good run. I think I joked the other day where I was like, if I get fired unexpectedly, there's so many Nerf guns that are going to come out of my office that it's going to be like clowns coming out of a clown car. It's just like another one. Like what's happening?
Yeah, I'd mentioned like popping ceiling tiles, like Dwight Schrute.
Oh yeah, it's Dwight Schrute. It's Dwight Schrute with like weapons. It's Ron Swanson hiding bacon in the ceiling. It's it's the full thing. So it totally makes sense that you get that scare and then you go, what is my backup plan? If that did happen that way, because you already started thinking about it. Mm-hmm. So again, they started their website in January of 2022, but they are, I'm sure other companies do subscriptions, but they're one of the first ones that I've run into where they're really pushing and promoting subscription boxes. And what they're doing isn't like the Fuego box or the Hot Ones subscription, where they'll just send random hot sauces because it's their sauce. It's their company doing it.
Right.
You get a quarterly subscription, and basically you can do like a 3 or a 4 sauce subscription at this time. And so every quarter you're paying so that every quarter they just automatically send you out sauce. They figure a bottle a month. If you're not doing a hot sauce podcast, that's pretty normal, apparently.
Yeah.
But a bottle a month. And then then what they'll do is they'll throw a specialty seasonal or limited edition sauce as that extra sauce. So you get a bonus sauce with the subscriptions, which is where that mushroom came from and why it's like, hey, there's not a lot of info. Well, if you're doing a different, unique sauce every quarter, you're not going to spend a whole lot of energy doing the full ingredient label and all that. You throw your logo sticker on there, you have the name of it. So it is pretty interesting that they've been doing these subscriptions. And from some of the Instagram photos I've seen, there's been some pretty sizable subscription shipments going out. So it seems like it's doing
that's awesome,
pretty well. I mean, it makes sense from a business side. The subscription makes sense, but also we know that the hot sauce community, like, it just keeps growing. Where I think they said that it was going to. I'm trying to remember what the stats were when I was reading about it last year when we first started the podcast. It was like they had this chart where they were saying how much the small batch or like homemade hot sauce companies were going to grow, and then COVID hit and like put it on steroids.
Yeah.
So we could do a whole month on Tennessee sauces, like the state of Tennessee.
Right.
Like you just went to Iowa, we picked up another sauce.
Yeah.
And I went to the Boston Fest. We still have sauces we haven't even tried from the Boston or the greater, East Coast area of Boston, New Jersey, New York. So it is just a growing industry. And so the subscription makes sense, especially if you're getting, this one is a good sauce. The other ones are also, the flavor profiles are interesting. The ones we have also for future episodes, poblano jalapeno, very mild sauce, garlic habanero, and then a pineapple habanero. So those all sound good. I love combinations.
Poblano, so I'm excited to try that one.
That was almost going to be, if we didn't do this one, that was going to be the one. But also I was like, let's start with a little more kick.
Yeah.
Start out with the bangin'.
It's the first mushroom sauce.
It's the first mushroom sauce. I don't know if I've actually seen, like I said, I've seen an umami sauce, but I don't know if there's mushroom in it or just some other.
Yeah. So do me a favor, smell that again. There's no ingredients list, so we're totally spitballing here. I get like a hint of olive.
It has an olive type smell to it. I agree with that.
Do you think it's the mushroom, or do you think there's maybe some olive in there?
I mean, I'm assuming
that's where the saltiness.
I'm assuming it might be a combination of the mushroom with the vinegar.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm definitely, you're definitely going to have that vinegar in there. But
this is exposing our very marginal palates, probably.
Well,
as far as I taste something in there, like that's not in there at all.
I taste salt. I bet there's salt in here. No, it is interesting to do kind of a blind taste. It's like this is a bad version of it because it's more of a gag thing than a actual like professional tasting. But there was a YouTube video where they did a taste test of like McDonald's food, and then they had them drink something and guess what it was, and it was like a shake with a Big Mac and fries in it, pureed.
Ugh.
And they're like, what am I tasting? And they're like, I taste meat. Is there pureed meat in here? And they're like, yes.
That's gross.
Yeah, it was. But like I said, terrible alternative version. But this is blind tasting of something good.
Right.
But yeah, it is something where if I was going to use this, I wouldn't have to go as heavy on the salt in my cooking because it would add that saltiness to it.
Yeah.
A couple things. This isn't my fun fact section, but it is. We haven't had a sauce from Nashville, Tennessee yet.
Oh, are they based out of Nashville?
They're based out of Nashville.
Okay. Have you been there?
I have, but I went, the last time I was in Tennessee was Chattanooga. And is Gatlinburg in Tennessee?
Yes. Those
are the two places we were, and I think we brushed around Nashville. I've never actually vacationed in Nashville.
Gotcha. We would go, Courtney and I would go, I don't know, that was like our road trip spot was go down to like Nashville, Mammoth Cave, stuff like that. It's a really fun city.
Yeah.
It's awesome. They have like one street, maybe two streets, just nothing but bars. That's the only thing there, and they are neon sign lit up all night. It's so much fun, and just the live music of just emerging artists.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
That'd be very cool. The idea of just streets of bars at this age sounds more exhausting than it would 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I'd be like, I'll save up, bar hopping. But I had two interesting facts about Nashville, Tennessee that I did not know and I thought were kind of cool. Nashville was founded on Christmas Eve of 1779.
Really? So, what does it mean by founded? Like some dude strolled up in the woods and planted a flag and was like, I will build a city here called Nashville?
He just yelled Nashville.
Yeah.
He built a log cabin, said, this is Nashville, and then they built around that cabin.
I'd like to know how that goes. Or someone built a city and for years it just went unnamed and someone's like, Nashville.
Yeah. Before that was called something else. I don't know. But yeah, there was an interesting word. It's like, oh,
that's cool.
It's a Christmas town.
Yeah.
I wonder if they do anything for Christmas Eve down there because of that.
That's an interesting
Or if
question.
no one really cares.
Yeah. I was always there in the springtime.
Also, the Parthenon at Centennial Park in Nashville holds the largest indoor statue in the Western Hemisphere.
In Nashville?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
What is it?
It's the Athena statue that's 41 feet tall.
Really?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like all the time I've spent there and to not know things like that.
Yeah. There was a bunch of like random, like little known facts, but those are the two where I was like,
that's awesome.
Okay. Like whenever there's a Guinness record, I don't know if it's a Guinness record because it just says Western Hemisphere, so it's not the world. But also 41 feet, 10 inches. I'm sure that matters.
It's almost 42. You might as well call it 42 feet at that point.
Might as well round up. There's somebody with a statue that's 41 feet, like 8 inches, that are just like, should have built that platform taller. But I just found that interesting because, yeah, Nashville, when I hear Nashville, I think of country music. I think of, it was in the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think of that. I don't necessarily think of, giant statues in, like, at a park or.
Yeah.
I really never think to when something's founded other than America.
That's fun. No, there's a funny video of me in, this is from a long time ago. I was in college. It's me. I was pretty drunk at this point, and this dude was playing the steel guitar, the slide guitar, which I'm a sucker for that. And
those are pretty cool.
Yeah. It's like all these girls lined up front for this country band, this emerging country band of all these dudes.
Yeah.
And then there's just like me up front hanging over the railing staring at the steel guitar. That was just like, you know how you just like when you're a little bit tipsy, things get hypnotizing. You just like zone in on it. I'm just like sitting there staring, and then it's just girls drooling, and then it's me drooling over a steel guitar. It's pretty funny. We'll not be posting that.
Okay. Maybe a picture of a steel guitar. But it's funny because if you were a female, like just obsessing about the steel guitar, that player would be like, "Oh, this girl's totally into me," and then walks away, and it's like, "Why are they looking back at the guitar?
Yeah.
Like, what happened?" I'm assuming. I think we already confirmed, but I'm assuming I know what category of facts you pulled from for this episode.
Mushrooms.
Whoa, me too.
Yeah,
I have two. I have two facts.
Two.
Because I have two facts because I knew I know the category is going to be the same. Like It was hard for me to think because we've done some Reaper facts. We've talked about Carolina Reaper, but mushroom seems like the one where it's like how many other opportunities are we going to have to do mushroom facts?
Not many. It's an entire world out there. There's people that are like there's mushroom people.
Yeah,
and not like. I don't have any facts, and I've never been involved with like hallucinogenic mushrooms. Like that's not the kind of mushrooms I like.
Legally for the podcast, do we have to say that?
I don't think so.
Okay. I've never done them.
Yeah. No, isn't it just kind of I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know.
I know people that have done it. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in morels.
I'm too anxious of a person.
Puffballs.
I know that some people say like there's certain drugs where like, hey, if you're high anxiety, like some drugs actually will help you with that stuff. I'm so anxious about the idea of taking most drugs that I'm like,
yeah,
the ramping up to actually consuming them would be just like a stress ball.
Yeah.
So, and also, not to reveal too much, I have a group of friends that gather together usually once a year. COVID is delayed a little bit. And we talk about like the good old days of college and after college and, you know, all the drinking stories. A majority of the bad drinking experiences are me. So I realized if I don't react well to alcohol, maybe I shouldn't.
That's so funny.
Shouldn't add some type of like
just another layer to it,
mind altering.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, nothing, you know, terrible. It's just, oh, that was a really funny story, but man, was he hard to wrangle in or whatever. Like I just go,
yeah,
I'm a weird one.
Yeah.
Angela's never seen me completely like real drunk. Mm-hmm. And it's probably for the better. We probably wouldn't have 2 kids if that was the case. Because she'd be like, I'm not climbing up that tree after him.
Courtney has a video of me sleeping under her mom's minivan. I don't really drink a whole lot. I get the giggles and I try to run away.
Yeah.
Like, and no one needs to see that.
I once watched Jason Bourne before a night of drinking. Thought I was Jason Bourne. Ran into the cornfield. Just sprinted. You know.
That's funny.
Didn't even have shoes on.
One of the most drunk times I've ever had. That still didn't even come out right. It was at Courtney's brother's wedding, and I was plastered. There's a big chandelier hanging over the dance floor, and there's a balcony where you could go up, and you're within jumping distance of the chandelier. And the song Chandelier by Sia came on.
That's on the DJ.
And I was like, oh, man, I could make this work. That's within reach, you know? So I tried running upstairs, and I got tackled by... He's like... His name's Sean. He's like a brother.
Yeah.
He's like always with our family. Thank God he was sober. Because I was definitely going to try to make that leap onto the chandelier. Thanks a lot, Sia.
Yeah, that's the one idea that enters into a lot of drunk people's minds is, I can make that jump.
Yeah.
I could do that.
I could do that. That's why the Bob had a bunch of nets around.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. But no, that is funny.
So, yeah, anyways, I don't dabble in substances. I already...
yeah,
I just don't do that. But, by God, do I love mushrooms and find them interesting.
For sure.
They're really neat. Where do you want to start? I got a bunch of them. I'm going to come out of the gate hard.
You come out with your strongest. I'll come out with my strongest. And then we can discuss some more mushroom facts because...
Okay.
Why hold them? Why leave them in the chamber at this point?
One of the... And it's fairly debated, but it's one of those things where it's always... I don't know how to explain this. The largest organisms in the world.
Yeah. Let me just say this right off the bat. There are a lot of interesting things about mushrooms. Just from my research, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time because I was like, I would need one interesting fact.
Oh, yeah.
And I had...
Yeah, when you say mushrooms and fungus, it's a kingdom of itself.
Yeah.
So it's like, it'd be us... It's the equivalent of us being like, let's talk about vertebrates.
Yeah.
Like it's endless. Mm-hmm. You could go forever. But the largest organism in the world... It's usually debated between a group of... It depends on how you want to look at it. You could look at it by sheer size, by volume, by weight.
Sure.
As far as in vertebrates, like the blue whale. As far as just in general, by weight, it's debated between this grove of aspen trees. Mm-hmm. I don't remember where that's located. Or this literally a single mushroom cluster out in Oregon. That's listed as... It's debated as one of the largest organisms in the world. If estimates are correct, it's like 600. I have the numbers here. It's like 600 tons. 605 tons. Jeez. Which, if that estimate is correct, that makes it the largest organism in the world. They think it's 240 or 2,400 years old. So not only that, it's really old. It's let's see, the species is Amarillaria astroe, which is a scientific name, but that's just the honey mushroom. But it takes up, as far as area, 2,240 acres in size.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where no one disagrees that it's not a contender for the largest organism on Earth. It's just comes down to how you want to look at it, whether it's by weight or size.
I did see that it was the largest. I did see just the headline of like largest organism. And yeah. I'm like, it's interesting. But also I was like, I feel like there's more science to that, and I'm glad that you did it, because I would not have explained it as well.
And up until it was discovered, I think it was 2003 it was discovered, the largest organism in the world was actually in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. It's another form of mushroom, or it's another mushroom, which is same thing. Amarillaria, honey mushroom, growing up in the UP. Discovered in 1992, these scientists went out, took a DNA sample. They tried to find where this mushroom stopped. And on their first expedition in the UP, they couldn't even find the edge of it. Jeez. And then they had to expand, and they found that that was 91 acres, weighing around 440 tons. That's crazy. That's 3.5 square miles. So yeah, Michigan held the largest organism in the world up until 2003.
If no one founded Oregon, we'd be number one. If no one ran into Oregon and just said, Oregon! Yeah. Built a log cabin. I'm going to look up how
things are declared.
How you officially found, like how a city is founded.
Yeah, is it just a compilation of buildings that just went unnamed?
It's going to be a lot of forms and paperwork. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do my fact, which I feel like this is a fact that I find interesting, that you probably will be like, oh yeah, I'm aware. Because it deals with hundreds of millions of years ago. Oh, man. Are you familiar with a prototaxite?
No.
Prototaxite is a type of mushroom that was around 350 to 400 million years ago, depending on what article you read. Okay. Somewhere in that range. One of the noteworthy things about it is it could grow up to 26 feet tall and 3 feet wide.
A mushroom growing that big? Really?
It looked like a cactus.
I did not know about that.
The sketches of like what it would be looked like a cactus, and they said to add to it, some of them were bioluminescent. Imagine that.
That's awesome. Like they do have bioluminescent mushrooms today, but
imagine like 26 feet tall. Okay, so you go back in time, and 400 million years ago, I mean, I don't know what period that would be.
That's real. That's like primitive lungfishes, I think.
Okay. So imagine like you go back in time, and you're like, all right, I'm in completely, none of the creatures look anything like what I know. The night falls. Yeah. Bioluminescent, 26 feet tall, 3 feet wide mushrooms.
That's awesome. That sounds like Fern Gully.
It sounds like Fern Gully or the worst acid trip.
Yeah, or that.
Or the best.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a weird Blue Man Group performance. I don't know what's going on.
That's awesome.
But yeah, prototaxites were... Yeah.
So do they have fossils of these things?
I forget what they said. They listed how they uncovered that, but I don't know. It must have been fossils.
I'd be interested how to figure that one out.
Oops. Great.
This is a very hydrophobic tablecloth. Hold on. Picture for the podcast. Where's my phone?
This is how we wash it.
That's awesome. It absorbs hot sauce, but it repels water.
Yeah, it says that the prototaxites were discovered as a fossilized rotting wood from conifers. So it was discovered on those, but it
just came off in a glob. It's like jelly water.
I remember the scene from Terminator 2.
That's awesome. I had no idea about those. I need to look those up.
Yeah, so you'll have to... Let me see if I can... Yeah,
is that it?
Yeah. An ode to the giant fungi of lore.
That's crazy. So I think about mushrooms today, and like, for the most part...
But this looked like cactus. Like,
yeah,
a weird single
It looks like it's straight out of Star Wars.
Yeah. Huh. But yeah, so prototaxites. The other fact that I had that was not my official fact, but something that I found interesting is that mushrooms are more closely related to humans than plants are.
Yes.
That's an interesting one, because they said...
They need nutrients, they consume oxygen.
Well, they said like the DNA coding is like 50%, or like at least 50% matching to humans, which
was one of my facts too. That is odd. So cool to me.
It's cool, but also it's like...
Ooh.
Just a little bit different DNA.
A little bit weird.
A little bit of a DNA shuffle, and suddenly I'm put into a nice ramen. Also, so thinking about what to put this on, I was thinking like a pho.
Oh yeah,
adding a little heat, just mixing a little bit of that in.
Right.
Like I said,
that'd be good.
Like a mushroom stroganoff would be good.
Some sort of Asian food.
Yeah, and Asian cuisine is the first thing I was thinking of putting that on there. It's kind of, normally you add a soy sauce that has that salty umami. Mm-hmm. This adds that salty umami heat.
Yeah.
So you could do basically if you do like the soy sauce mixed with wasabi, that you get those two elements, or those three elements.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that with this sauce. I was also thinking of my dad does a cream of mushroom soup that you could throw a little bit extra heat in that, and it wouldn't throw the flavor off, I don't think, too much.
Yeah.
The salt, there'd be a balance there.
Does he make the cream of mushroom from scratch?
Yeah.
Like, I've only had the canned stuff.
It's very good. I mean, there's a lot of dairy.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing, is that I've had people try it that like are a little more sensitive to dairy, and they're just like, well, that is a terrible experience. But it's delicious. He has like half the mushrooms are into the cream sauce, half the mushrooms are just like in, like chopped up and stuff. It's very good. He hasn't made it in a very long time. I'm wondering if I don't know if it's just more like labor intensive, or if it's just maybe hasn't been requested, but I'd be curious to have that again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised my family never did that. So like my grandma, my dad's mom, they were just like huge mushroom pickers. Yeah. Like that was their hobby.
Sounds like an insult.
Yeah.
Where you going, mushroom picker?
It does. That's what they'd be so proud to hear. Like if they were called that.
Like, I'm going to get morels.
Yes, exactly.
Like, funny, you should ask.
They, so that's like, except for wintertime, they made that like a year-round thing. Like spring to fall, They were out foraging mushrooms. I was really surprised. They never had like a cream of mushroom anything. They would use canned cream of mushroom soup, like if they were going to make. It's really pretty, isn't it? He's looking at the
it's just
Arnold Schwarzenegger blob on the table here.
It looks so weird. I mean, and it's
an amazing tablecloth. Well, it's not a tablecloth. It's a blanket.
Oh, it just went reverse. Oh, it's terrible. Sorry, you were saying.
But yeah, no, they never really passed down like any recipes with that. It was always just sauteed mushrooms. That's just how you did it. Was you cleaned them, parboiled them, sauteed them, had them with something else. Mm-hmm. Which I was surprised with how much they ate them. They didn't have like these secret world's best cream of mushroom soup straight from Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of bummed they didn't have that, but it was still cool to learn like the trade of mushroom picking.
One of the interesting things that I've seen just from Italian cuisine with Angela's family is I always think if it's authentic cuisine from another country, it's very elaborate and excessive and like detailed. And a lot of times it's just like, I think we talked about in one of the other episodes, it's, oh, I'm going to Italy. Oh, it's just olive oil, tomato, and basil.
That's spaghetti sauce, yeah.
That's it. Even I saw one video on making a pizza and making like an authentic pizza sauce. And they're like, don't cook your sauce. Mm-hmm. Like, don't cook the tomatoes down. Just blend this all up. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's weird. Because I'm like, I always think of that. But I'm also probably just thinking, also as a kid, I was having jarred pizza sauce. So
yeah. It's funny you mention that. So when we were in Iowa, we were staying with Courtney's best friend, which every year her husband, their family always does like this massive tamale cook. Mm-hmm. So we just have literally hundreds of tamales in their fridge.
You do a lot of tamales. You do more tamales in a year than I probably have done in my life.
Courtney and I knocked out. We did a batch of like 80 one weekend, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we ate 80 tamales.
How many batches of tamales did you do last year?
Probably 4.
Okay. Yeah. You've had more tamales in.
Yeah. 4, and like when you don't make like 4 tamales.
Right.
Like you.
I talked to you on the phone and you're like, we're making tamales. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, we're making tamales. It's like, no, I got to get back on the line.
Yeah. That's how it works. Especially when there's 2 of you. That's why like whole families will get together and they will do thousands at a time.
There used to be at my church, there used to be a tamale. They used to bring the whole, it was a large Mexican community. They would come in and they would make a big thing of tamales. Mm-hmm. And then they would like freeze some and sell them. And it was really, but it was
it's a process. It's a community thing. Right. But it's funny. So they're the best tamales we've ever had. And I mean, we make our own, we love our own, but they're just like another level.
Yeah.
We're asking Tina, we're like, what's the recipe? She's like there isn't one. They just do it. Mm-hmm. Like you just eyeball it. Yeah. You just handful of spice, some of this, some of that, some of this. Mm-hmm. Like they don't even write it down. They just do it.
Yeah, that was my dad's side. A lot of the recipes were just, you throw this stuff in and he would have to get the recipe. He'd have to watch them make it and stop them and measure like, okay, pour this from your hand into this measuring device and get some semblance of the ingredients. So that way later on he could have that recipe.
Yeah.
When they're gone. Mm-hmm. So
real quick. So I just caught this last part. Crystal Falls, Michigan has a fungus fest celebrated every year in honor of the largest, what once was the largest organism, which I'm not quite sure exactly where Crystal Falls is. You know where Crystal Valley is? It's up by Ludington.
It is weird to have a festival to celebrate what no longer is the record.
Yeah. Oh, it's in the UP. It's up by...
Makes sense. I mean, that's where the...
Yeah. It's up by, like, Iron River.
I figured it was in the UP. I just didn't know where...
Yeah.
Where that
like,
would be.
Straight south of Lance. That'd be fun to go check out.
Yeah, I mean...
The UP's got some cool stuff. They have, like, the Blueberry Festival.
In trying to find, like, a hot sauce festival local, I did find a lot of other festivals. Like, there was... in Lansing, they had a chicken wing festival. There's the Cherry Festival up north. There's a big film festival in Traverse City annually as well.
Is there?
Yeah, so there are some interesting festivals. That would be a fun one to go to. I don't think Angela would care for it. Although, if you're going to a festival where it's to celebrate the large, like, would they actually have mushrooms to eat there as part of it, or was it be more of
I'm sure they would.
a scientific festival celebrating the science of life?
I'm sure they would have mushrooms there.
Yeah.
You would. I just said Angela doesn't care much for mushrooms. Does she drink tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Yeah.
Doesn't do a whole lot of tea.
Try chaga mushroom. So it's
Chaga.
like, it's like you can buy it from the farmer's market mushroom dude. Kind of expensive, but it almost looks like wood.
Okay.
It looks like a burl off from a tree.
Yeah.
But you boil that down, it makes chaga tea. Dude, that stuff is good.
Yeah. I know one of the things, and we talked about the dislike of, like, the canned mushrooms. One of the things is the sliminess of certain mushrooms, but that's obviously not every mushroom.
Yeah.
That's like saying you don't like this certain vegetable. And it's like, well, there's a lot of vegetables, so you can't say you don't like vegetables. But I'd be curious, if something a little more firm, a little more textured.
Show up to try morels. That's like eating a 2-inch T-bone steak is what a morel is.
I'd like to do, like, we try to do vegetarian night sometime where I'd like to do, like, sliced portobello mushrooms, just like almost like fajitas, but use portobello mushroom and slice that up. I mean, I've had, there's a portobello mushroom sandwich over by our office that is fantastic. It's a vegetarian sandwich I actually enjoy, unlike the Veggie Delight at Subway, which is an air sandwich. I don't feel like I ate anything.
What is wow, I just blanked so hard. Never mind.
It's been a morning. 2023 is going to be our year.
Right.
Just a couple notes about the sauce company again. So they are regulars at the Nashville beer festivals. They did mention that when I talked to them. They just, focused on there lots of fresh ingredients, small batch, which you can tell by the ingredient list. Very simple ingredient list, fresh ingredients. That Carolina Reaper comes through, so you can tell that it is the real deal. In their quarterly subscription boxes, which I mentioned is 3 or 4 sauces, they do include a surprise seasonal. And some of the examples that they gave, which all of these sound great: berry rhubarb ghost, whiskey habanero, sweet potato ghost.
Berry rhubarb ghost. That sounds good.
The guy that did the podcast interview with him, he had gotten a box of sauces to try, and he posted them on his YouTube channel. And he did kind of a hot ones. And he's like, yeah, these will get, like, progressively hotter, like from mild and going up. The first one, the green sauce, was mild. And right after that, he's like, ooh, this is spicy. Which some people, if they don't do a lot of hot sauce, once you get into habanero, they're like, this is getting too much. But he had the berry rhubarb ghost, or a rhubarb sauce on that, and he was really enjoying that. Which, rhubarb is a thing that I've heard all my life. Cherry rhubarb or strawberry rhubarb pie.
Oh yeah,
is
it's
a
like
thing.
It's a Michigan spring thing.
But I have zero context with rhubarb because I don't use it at all.
Really?
It's just in a pie. That's all I know of it.
That's so funny. It's really strange. I think it's cool. The leaves are poisonous. The roots are poisonous. Stem, let's put it in pie and everything.
The trial and error to figure out what is and is not poisonous.
Yeah. Why risk it? But
the last effort's like, guys, I made a pie out of the stems. And like, Jerry, we've killed 3 of our people. This Oregon Trail game is going terrible.
Yeah.
that would be one of the Oregon Trail deaths, though. Be like, you ate the wrong part of the rhubarb. But yeah, like I always saw it, and I'm like, oh, it's red celery, is what it looks like.
It's super tart.
Yeah.
I know people that will like eat it raw, like dip it in sugar. My dad will put salt on it.
Sweet and salty.
Yeah,
I get it. Tart and salty.
It's tart.
Yeah, but anyway, that's not the sauce that we did here. But we do want to go over the score. Just as a recap, it's a 100-point scale. Above 75 is something that we would have in rotation in our kitchen all year round. Above 50 is a recommend to buy. 25 to 50 is something you still should try, but maybe not something that we're going to tell you have to proactively like go out there and get it. I usually throw grocery store sauces in there. They're still good. And then 25 and below is not for us, maybe for you. Because everyone, I mean, even the bad sauces that we don't like, there's a reason that they're made.
Yeah.
Whether it be a joke or something mean. but so that's our scale. For this one, I gave this a 70 out of 100 for me.
Yep. I had 65, so pretty close.
Yeah.
The only recommendation I have is the salt. That's a little salty for me, but I know like my dad, he'd be like, hey, can I have a straw?
But I put it in the context of a soy sauce.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, this has that
if
same
you tried
umami,
it raw,
salt.
Yeah.
It makes total
That's
sense.
a good way to look at it.
And doing a spoonful because of the saltiness maybe isn't the best way to try it, when this is one that'd probably be much better putting into a dish, whether it be poured on top or incorporated, because that salt is going to help the other. It's kind of, the first time I ever put salt on a slice of tomato blew my mind, because I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Right.
Like adding the salt to another, pairing it, I think would benefit this more than some of the other sauces that we've tried. But it is still a very good sauce. That first spoonful or that first taste, if someone were to try this, probably would be kind of scare people off, because that first taste, I got heat. Heat.
I was taken back by how hot it was right off.
But the spoonfuls after that, after you kind of calibrate, it does have that umami, that saltiness, that
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious what mushrooms they use in it, but it has a much better flavor and a much better note. So I think if you mix it in to something, it would be, that much more enjoyable. But yeah, it is a saltier one. So if you're not a big salt person, that this one might be a challenge for you. But the heat, initially when I first tried it.
It's okay to hear a thump as long as 3 seconds later you don't hear crying.
Usually I want to hear crying so I know that they're conscious.
Oh,
jeez. But the kids are up upstairs. My son's got school in a little bit, which first day back was Wednesday. Anyway, the heat, when I initially tried this, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a 4 out of 5. Like, this is going to be, I put it as a high 3.
Yeah, I had 3+.
It initially hit real hard, but then it fades. For a Reaper sauce, it fades relatively all right.
Yeah.
And even when I was having a few more spoonfuls, not as heavy of a spoonful as the first one,
mm-hmm.
the heat was there and it came back up, but it didn't punch as hard as that first one.
Yeah.
So the way that the heat of a pepper is manipulated in these sauces has been very interesting.
Yeah.
And some of it you can tell, I feel like Scott did that for his Lucky Dog sauce, where he would be like, here's the heat journey you're going to go on. So it's like, you not only, you didn't just make the sauce and go, I wonder what the heat's going to be like. It's like, no, I've made it intentional. I use this pepper because it hits immediate. I use this pepper because it lingers. I use this pepper because it builds on itself. Like, there's an interesting science to it. But overall, a very good sauce. And for a seasonal sauce that's just like, hey, this is a one and a quarter, so it's here for a quarter and gone. This is a really, really nice sauce to have. It makes me very intrigued on the other sauces because of the all natural and the fresh ingredient aspect of it. But no, this one was very good. Just a couple, as we're wrapping up here, just wanted to have a couple special thanks. We've been off for a couple weeks, so there's a few updates on here. So in the new year, we released a new logo. We've gotten very positive feedback from people that have seen it, both before we released it and then now we've released it, gotten a lot of good feedback. We do want to do a special thank you to Summit 6 Design, who helped us create the logo. So they're great for any graphic or logo designs. They designed our logo. It was a lot of back and forth. We realized we wanted a logo, but we didn't know the right things to say. It's like, well, what do you want? Well, I want a logo. Okay. Give me and so he worked really well with us.
What kind of color scheme do you want?
Colors,
somewhere,
logo styles, very good back and forth.
Like, walk us through it, because we, like you said, we just said logo.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, and he broke it down where we knew what we wanted.
And somebody asked me, they're like, will you create, because I do a lot of like the memes and the videos for the Instagram thing. They're like, well, you have creative talent in that. And I'm like, yeah, but it has to be, it hits me and then I do it or it's gone.
Yeah.
Like I make a meme and it's there. It's like, well, it's what I thought of in the moment. So the other special thank you is Danny at Tennesse Hot Sauce Company, just for including his sauces in the charity raffle for the hurricane relief. I know that they had a lot of responses to where that raffle went from a one raffle prize to 2 because of how many people donated. So thank you for participating and including the sauce to allow us to win that and frustrate my significant other as to all the sauce that I now have in the basement from that.
I think it looks good.
It's going to be organized. I got a really good plan for it. It just has to happen.
That's funny.
And then a last special thank you to everyone who participated in our end of year giveaway. Congratulations to Anthony who won. He won the t-shirt and the hat from us with the new logo before we even have any merch to sell. He's going to get that. And he also won.
I don't even have anything.
Yeah, I know.
He's got stuff before we do.
I did order some stickers. I wanted to get some stickers. But also, he won a bottle of Smokey J from Sam Sauce and a bandana from him. So next time I see him, he should be fully
decked out.
But thank you for everyone that participated, that started to follow us from that shared it with others. And then lastly, just thank you for everyone for listening. However you listen, we do appreciate you. And in this new year, we have some pretty cool and exciting ideas to do. We'll see how they morph, change, grow. But it's been
fun. We're almost at a full year doing this, but
almost at a full year. We ended the year doing a thing we never did before, having a guest on, and the response was, "Oh, that was cool. Why wasn't I the first guest?" from Roddy, and we had a few other people that have said, And it's interesting that it's not all sauce makers, which I think would be cool. There's a few different people that follow us or interact with us on Instagram that I'd be like, we had someone that restores cast iron that's like, "Hey, if you want me on, like, I'm ready to go."
Yeah.
We have a few other types of people that it'd be like, even if it's just a fan of hot sauce, but just does something else interesting, that'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So just thank you for everyone for that giveaway. It was actually made us realize maybe we should do more.
Yeah.
More giveaways.
Had a ton of engagement.
Again, we're going to be trying new sauces, at least for this month, maybe even the first quarter of the year, because we have a lot of them. So next week, we'll have a new sauce company that we're going to try. We'll still do quick-fire episodes that include sauces that we've already tried. We have a really good one from Faya that that'll probably be the first one we do after we do these new brands, because he's got 2 sauces left that, from what I've heard, have saved the best for last, even though we've loved all of his sauces. So give us a follow on Instagram at the Heat Source Podcast for any updates on anything we're doing. Send us a message on there or email us at theheatsourcepod@gmail.com for any feedback, requests, or other comments. But other than that, we will see you again next week when we have another early morning hot sauce talk.
Yeah.
So everyone have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you later.
See ya. Do you think these spoons got switched?
Why?
I don't remember my spoon having that much curve to it.
Yours was a thicker one, though.
Was it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Positive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you think yours was the heavier one? Feel that one.
That's so light and dainty.
Yeah.
I think that is yours.
Yeah.